Welcome to Golden Flame Stars. Imagine for a moment that the clock has been turned back, and the world is once again illuminated by the flickering glow of a classic cinema screen or the warm hum of a heavy television set. If you could travel back to the vibrant energy of the 1970s, the neon-drenched 80s, or the grittier, experimental 90s, which kind of handsome leading man would have stolen your heart? This is a question that defines more than just taste. It defines an era of storytelling that shaped our collective imagination. Perhaps your heart belonged to the pretty boy, that archetype of delicate features and tousled hair who carried a touch of careless romance in every gesture. Or maybe you were captivated by the polished action star, the man with the square jaw and the gym-built physique who projected a sense of powerful, unshakable confidence. Then, of course, there was the rugged, naturally masculine rebel, the one with a weathered charm and eyes that seem to hold a world of hidden sadness or unspoken danger as we navigate the landscape of modern entertainment. It is easy to forget the sheer weight of charisma these men brought to the screen. They were not just playing roles, they were becoming symbols of what we admired and what we desired. Today, we are going to look back at these timeless heartthrobs, revisiting the moments that made them legends and seeing how the steady march of time has changed them. It is a journey of nostalgia, yes, but also one of discovery. We are looking for the threads that connect the young, hungry actors of the past to the seasoned, respected veterans they have become today. Some have stayed in the spotlight, reinventing themselves for a new century, while others have found peace in a quieter life. Away from the flashbulbs and the constant roar of the crowd, the names we are about to discuss represent the very best of their generations. They are the men who made us laugh, who made us cry, and who made us believe in the impossible. From the refined aristocratic beauty of the British stage to the raw athletic energy of the Hollywood action scene, their influence is woven into the fabric of cinema history. We want to hear from you as we move through this story. Which type of charisma was your ultimate weakness? Was it the intellectual intensity of a character actor or the sweeping heroism of a romantic lead? As we prepare to pull back the curtain and see where these icons are in 2026, we invite you to settle in and prepare for a deep dive into the lives of the men who defined an era of masculine grace. The first chapter of their story is about to unfold, and it begins with a transition from the golden light of youth into the more complex, enduring glow of a life well lived. As we begin to peel back the layers of this cinematic tapestry, we find that the transition from a youthful heartthrob to a seasoned veteran is a journey marked by both grace and a deep commitment to the craft. Our exploration begins with the men who redefined what it meant to be a leading man, often blending traditional charm with a modern sensibility. Consider Billy Campbell, a man who carried a tall, classic kind of handsomeness that felt like a bridge to the golden age of Hollywood. With his gentle confidence and an old-school charm that seemed to radiate naturally from the screen, he was a perfect fit for the sweeping adventures of the late 80s and early 90s. In the film The Rocketeer, his polished heroism and calm screen presence turned him into one of the most elegant romantic adventurers of the era. He wasn't just a pilot in a high-tech suit, he was the personification of a reliable, steadfast masculinity. Today, at 66, Campbell continues to work with a steady hand, appearing in new projects such as A Better Place. His appeal has never truly faded because it was always rooted in something more permanent than youth, an understated grace and a timeless masculinity that refuses to go out of style. While some leading men relied on physical stature, others captured our attention through the sheer force of their intellect and a certain captivating quirkiness. Peter MacNicol was one such actor, possessing a finely drawn, intellectual kind of charm that set him apart from the more traditional action stars of his day. With his expressive features and a unique, almost nervous intensity, he became an instantly distinctive presence on screen. Many of us remember him most vividly from Ghostbusters 2, where his eerie elegance and comic oddness as Janos Pohar gave him one of the most unforgettable performances of the 1980s. Now 72, MacNicol has become more selective with his roles, but his legacy remains formidable. His career has been shaped not just by film, but by Emmy-winning work on television and a long, highly respected stage career that continues to command admiration for its depth and versatility. There was also a specific kind of warmth that certain stars brought into our living rooms every week, a sense of trust that made them feel like family. Scott Bakula was the epitome of this trustworthy handsomeness. With an easy smile and a steady, grounding charm, he became one of television's most appealing leading men. In the groundbreaking series Quantum Leap, his unique mix of intelligence, heart, and quiet heroism made the character of Sam Beckett truly unforgettable. Bakula had the rare ability to make us believe in the goodness of humanity, even as he leapt through time into increasingly difficult situations. At 71, he still chooses his projects with care, balancing recent stage work and guest appearances. His later career is a reflection of a life shaped by family, a dedication to his craft, and the lasting goodwill he built with audiences over decades of consistent, heartfelt performance. As the decade progressed, we saw the rise of the refined, almost aristocratic leading man, and few embodied this better than Kevin Kline. He represented a sophisticated kind of handsomeness that was infused with wit, poise, and a sharp romantic intelligence. This maturity gave him a screen magnetism that felt more grown-up and deliberate than his peers. In the classic comedy A Fish Called Wanda, his brilliant mix of elegance and comic timing turned him into one of Hollywood's most distinctive and versatile leading men. Now 78, Kline remains a powerhouse in the industry, staying active through film and television while resting on a legacy shaped by major stage honors and a storied career as a singer and serious actor. He proved that a leading man could be funny, smart, and undeniably handsome all at once, a combination that remains as potent today as it was 30 years ago. The concept of the romantic lead took another turn with the arrival of Cary Elwes, who possessed a storybook kind of handsomeness that felt as though it had been plucked directly from the pages of a classic novel. With refined features and an effortless, almost playful elegance, he became a household name and a permanent fixture in our romantic imaginations. In The Princess Bride, his graceful wit and classic heroism as Westley turned him into one of the most beloved romantic leads of his entire generation. There was a lightness to his charm that never felt forced. At 63, Elwes is not just resting on his past. He continues to act while also engaging with his fans through writing, touring, and memoir storytelling. He has managed to keep that fairy tale legacy alive, proving that the magic of a great performance can endure. Long after the credits have rolled, joining this rank of sophisticated performers is Rupert Everett, who carried a cool, aristocratic beauty that was entirely his own. With his sharp features and a dry, unmistakably English wit, he always seemed to stand apart from the crowd. In My Best Friend's Wedding, his elegance and playful intelligence turned what could have been a standard supporting role into one of the film's most memorable and charming elements. Now, 67. Everett remains a vibrant part of the cultural conversation, continuing to act and write. His involvement in new screen work like Rivals and various upcoming projects scheduled for 2026 shows that his brand of sophisticated allure is still very much in demand. Evolving into a mature authority that is as sharp as ever, we must also look at the sensitive side of stardom, embodied by the faces of the Brat Pack. Andrew McCarthy had a soft, romantic kind of handsomeness, defined by gentle eyes and a vulnerability that resonated deeply with the youth of the 1980s. In the cultural touchstone Pretty in Pink, he was the ultimate teen idol, representing a dreamy, thoughtful masculinity. Now 63, McCarthy has successfully transitioned from the boy on the poster to a multifaceted creator, balancing selective acting with a career as a director, travel writer, and memoirist. His upcoming 2026 book, Who Needs Friends?, is a testament to his continued relevance and his willingness to explore the complexities of life and fame with the same sensitivity he once brought to the screen. In a similar vein, John Stamos brought a bright, polished kind of handsomeness to the small screen, with his signature thick hair and an easy smile that made him a generation's favorite heartthrob on Full House. At 62, he has gracefully transitioned into a new chapter of his life, still acting while also performing with the Beach Boys and sharing his experiences through writing. His new book about fatherhood and modern masculinity shows how he has blended his enduring screen appeal with the realities of family life, creating a legacy that is as much about character as it is about looks. Finally, we cannot discuss the evolution of the leading man without mentioning the striking warrior-like beauty of Adrian Paul. With his long hair and athletic grace, he brought an intense, smouldering presence to the screen that was uniquely romantic. In Highlander, the series, his sword-fighting elegance as Duncan MacLeod turned him into a cult icon, a man who seemed to belong to every century at once. Now 67, he remains active not only in the arts but also in humanitarian efforts, leading the Peace Fund and staying closely connected to a global fan base that still sees him as the ultimate immortal hero. And of course, there is Ralph Macchio, whose youthful boy-next-door charm and underdog spirit made him a hero for everyone who ever felt like an outsider. As Daniel LaRusso in The Karate Kid, his bright sincerity resonated across the globe. Today, at 64, he has seen a massive resurgence, returning to his iconic role in the latest legends of the franchise and sharing his journey through his memoir, Waxing On. These men represent the first half of our journey, the ones who taught us that charisma is not just about a single moment of youth, but about the steady evolution of a soul under the bright lights of fame. While some actors of the 1980s found their strength in a bright, outward charisma, there was a parallel movement of leading men who captivated us through a much deeper, more internal energy. This was the era of the brooding rebel and the poetic loner, figures who didn't just walk onto a screen but seemed to haunt it. Emilio Estevez was a central figure in this shift, standing as one of the most compelling faces of the Brat Pack generation. He possessed a lean, intense kind of handsomeness, marked by dark, thoughtful eyes and a quiet vulnerability that suggested a world of hidden complexity. In The Breakfast Club, he embodied that perfect mix of toughness and sensitivity, creating a character that felt raw and undeniably real. As the years have passed, Estevez has largely stepped away from the frenetic pace of mainstream stardom to cultivate a career that is entirely his own. Now 64, he has focused his creative energy on writing and directing, shaping a later professional life rooted in independent film and a quieter, more personal creative expression. He proves that the intensity of youth doesn't have to burn out. It can simply transform into a more focused, steady flame that fuels a lifetime of art. The edge that Estevez brought to the screen found a sharper, more dangerous counterpart in the rise of Christian Slater. Slater arrived with a rebellious kind of handsomeness that was impossible to ignore, defined by a crooked smile, intense eyes, and an aura of dangerous cool that felt both classic and entirely new. In the cult hit Heathers, his edgy charisma turned him into one of the most magnetic young stars of his generation, capturing a specific kind of restless energy that defined the late 80s. However, the true story of Christian Slater is one of remarkable resilience. Now 57, his career has outlasted the initial wave of youthful bad boy fame. He has built a steady and respected body of work through film and television, showing a maturity and a professional discipline that have made him a lasting fixture in the industry. His journey is a reminder that the fire of a young rebel can, with time, become the foundational strength of a seasoned performer. As we move toward the turn of the millennium, the concept of the leading man began to embrace a more rugged, almost ancient kind of nobility. Viggo Mortensen became the face of this transformation, offering a poetic kind of handsomeness that felt grounded in the earth itself. With his intense eyes and a quiet, weathered beauty, he brought an unmistakably heroic presence to the screen. His portrayal of Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings trilogy turned that weathered strength into one of the most enduring romantic and heroic ideals in the history of fantasy cinema. Mortensen, however, has always been more than just an actor. Now 67, he continues to act at the highest level, but he also pours his immense talent into writing, directing, painting, and even composing music. He is a modern Renaissance man whose career reflects a deep commitment to artistic integrity over the shallow rewards of celebrity, showing us that true handsomeness is as much about the mind as it is about the face. The transition from youth to maturity is perhaps most visible in those who started their careers as the relatable everyman. Anthony Michael Hall was the face of the awkward, bright-eyed teenager for a generation, possessing a natural charm that made him instantly recognizable in classics like The Breakfast Club. But to look at him now, at 58, is to see the evolution of a teen icon into a powerhouse of creative longevity. He has maintained a steady presence in the industry, appearing in high-profile projects like Reacher and developing new ventures like Singularity alongside Robert Downey Jr. His path illustrates how the boy next door can grow into a man of significant industry influence, proving that the foundation of an early career can support a lifetime of evolving success. This enduring nature of stardom is also beautifully illustrated by the legends who paved the way for these younger generations. Sir Cliff Richard, for instance, was once the ultimate polished boyish idol, a man whose bright eyes and smooth charm made him one of Britain's most beloved crossover stars. In films like Summer Holiday, his sunny appeal was infectious. Now 85, he lives a quieter life, but he remains an active and respected figure, still recording and using his platform to advocate for health awareness, particularly regarding prostate cancer. Similarly, Fabian Forte represented a polished, all-American kind of handsomeness that defined the teen idol era of the late 50s and early 60s. In North to Alaska, his youthful screen presence proved he was a legitimate talent beyond the world of pop music. At 83, he remains a cherished symbol of that golden era, staying connected to his legacy through memoirs and nostalgia appearances that keep the spirit of his generation alive for fans across the world. The essence of this report lies in understanding that these men were not just static images on a screen. They were moving targets, evolving alongside their audience. Christopher Lambert brought a striking, almost otherworldly kind of handsomeness to the screen, with his pale, piercing eyes and mysterious intensity. In Highlander, his brooding presence as Connor MacLeod created an icon of the romantic warrior that spanned centuries. Now 69, Lambert continues to work within the European film prestige he helped build, maintaining a cult status that is fueled by a truly unique screen presence. Kiefer Sutherland followed a similar path of dark magnetism, defined by a sharp, dangerous kind of handsomeness that made him the ultimate bad boy in The Lost Boys. Now 59, he has channeled that same intensity into a successful music career and a 2026 tour, proving that his edge has matured into a powerful, lasting star power. Even the most playful among them have found a way to deepen their impact. Matthew Broderick, whose bright, boyish handsomeness and quick intelligence made him the ultimate youth culture icon in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, has spent the last several decades building a legacy of immense prestige. Now 64, he has successfully transitioned from the screen to the stage, becoming a Tony-winning pillar of the Broadway community. He shows us that the charm of youth can grow into the authority of an elder statesman of the arts. And finally, there is Colin Firth, who represents the very height of British elegance. His classic restrained beauty in Pride and Prejudice became a cultural phenomenon, yet he has never let himself be defined by a single moment. Now 65, he remains a titan of the film industry, with upcoming work like Disclosure Day promising to add even more depth to a career that has always been defined by quiet, magnetic power. This evolution from idol to icon is the heart of our story, a testament to the enduring power of charisma across the span of a lifetime. As we expand our focus to the broader horizon of cinematic history, we find that the story of the leading man is also a story of resilience and surprising reinvention. Beyond the immediate spotlight of teen stardom lay a group of actors who brought a different kind of gravity to the screen. Men who were often dubbed the television princes or the rugged veterans of their time. Bruce Boxleitner was a prime example of this phenomenon, a man blessed with classic American good looks and a bright smile that felt both heroic and accessible. In the mid-1980s, his portrayal of the elegant and charming spy Lee Stetson in Scarecrow and Mrs. King made him a household name. He was the tall, dependable leading man every audience wanted on their side. Now 75, Boxleitner has transitioned into a respected role as both an actor and a writer, continuing to make public appearances that bridge the gap between his legendary past and the creative pursuits of his present. His path reminds us that a career built on classic appeal can endure far beyond the initial thrill of fame. Joining him in this pantheon of seasoned magnetism is Jeff Fahey, whose wild, weathered beauty was always sharpened by a pair of piercing blue eyes that seemed to look right through the screen. There was an air of danger about him, a sense that he was just as comfortable in a high-stakes thriller as he was in a quiet drama. In The Lawnmower Man, his physical transformation and striking features became a hallmark of the early 90s. Today, at 73, Fahey remains a veteran of the industry, keeping a steady schedule of filming while also dedicating much of his life to humanitarian causes. His journey is a testament to the idea that a truly magnetic screen presence is not just about physical beauty, but about the character of the man behind the gaze. Of course, the 1980s also gave us the ultimate Nordic machine in the form of Dolph Lundgren. Towering and square-jawed, he appeared as if he had been carved from stone, a living embodiment of the decade's obsession with muscular power. His iconic role as Ivan Drago in Rocky IV remains a blueprint for the cold, steel-hard beauty of the era. Now 68, Lundgren has defied the typical trajectory of the action star, continuing to act and direct while earning immense respect for his disciplined approach to fitness and his academic background. He remains an icon of resilience, proving that the strength of the 80s was more than just aesthetic. It was a foundation for a lifelong career of discipline. In stark contrast to Lundgren's raw power was the polished, rhythmic cool of Philip Michael Thomas. As Ricardo Tubbs in Miami Vice, he helped redefine men's style for an entire generation, blending bronzed looks with a radiant smile and a collection of pastel suits that became legendary. Thomas brought a romantic charisma and a sense of effortless swagger to the screen that was entirely unique. Now 76, he has chosen a quieter path, focusing his creative energies on music and songwriting. Though he is seen less frequently in front of the camera today, his influence on the culture of the 80s remains undeniable. A reminder of a time when style and substance moved in perfect harmony. The artistic side of handsomeness was perhaps most beautifully represented by Aidan Quinn, whose deep blue eyes and sharply sculpted face gave him a look that was both fragile and strong. In the sweeping landscape of Legends of the Fall, his grave, classical beauty provided a perfect counterpoint to the rugged wilderness. Now 67, Quinn leads a grounded family life, choosing his roles with a focus on depth and sincerity. He has spoken openly about the importance of home and his devotion to his family, showing that the most meaningful chapters of a leading man's life often happen away from the cameras. This same statuesque allure was found in Billy Zane, who possessed a face so perfectly defined it almost seemed sculpted. While he often played the dangerously charming villain, such as the arrogant Cal Hockley in Titanic, his elegance in a tuxedo and his striking screen presence were impossible to deny. At 60, Zane continues to work steadily, his later years marked by a consistent visibility that keeps him relevant to fans who first fell for his villainous charm decades ago. As we look at the 90s, we see the rise of the dangerously alluring charm embodied by William Baldwin. With his dreamy eyes and rebellious, upper-class appeal, the film Sliver turned him into one of the decade's most prominent sex symbols. Now 63, Baldwin balances his acting career with a strong commitment to social causes and charity events, showing a maturity that has grown alongside his public profile. This Latin masculine charisma was further personified by Armand Assante, whose rugged handsomeness and commanding aura made him a natural fit for roles of power and intensity. In The Mambo Kings, his slicked-back hair and elegant suits captivated audiences. Today, at 76, he stands as a respected veteran of the stage and screen, with recent work like the film Revival, proving that his magnetic authority has only deepened with age. In our journey, we must also pause to honor the icons we have lost. Men whose legacies continue to shape our understanding of screen charisma. Bobby Sherman, the ultimate boy next door heartthrob, passed away at 81, but he left behind a legacy not just of entertainment, but of incredible service as a paramedic and police officer. Julian Sands, with his ethereal classical beauty and his unforgettable performance in A Room with a View, remains a hauntingly elegant presence in our memories after his passing at 65. And Treat Williams, who defined the free-spirited energy of the late 70s in the film Hair, died at 71, leaving behind a career characterized by a radiant smile and a steady, respected legacy. These men remind us that while time is fleeting, the impact of a great performance is eternal. Turning our eyes toward the current year of 2026, we see the remarkable longevity of stars who have successfully navigated the transition from youth to iconic status. Michael Keaton, now 74, continues to prove that intelligence and a sly, energetic smile are the most enduring forms of charisma, whether he is donning the mask of Batman or directing acclaimed dramas like Knox Goes Away. Jimmy Smits at 70 remains a pillar of refined charm and trustworthiness, using his stature to support Latino arts and community causes. We see Jason Bateman, whose youthful face from the 80s has matured into a powerful creative force. With 2026 marking his debut as the director of the highly anticipated thriller, The Cackling of the Dodos, the evolution of the action hero is equally fascinating. Jason Statham and Vin Diesel, both 58, continue to define modern masculinity through power and presence. Statham's upcoming projects like Mutiny and The Beekeeper 2 show that his rugged, streetwise edge is as sharp as ever, while Diesel remains the central figure of major global franchises. We see Brendan Fraser, the jungle prince of the 90s, now 57, and embracing a new chapter of his career as both an actor and producer. Antonio Banderas at 65 continues to bring his sun-kissed Latin storm to the screen, while also reflecting on his life and directing work in Malaga. As we move into the final chapters of these legendary lives, we see Johnny Depp and Keanu Reeves, both in their early 60s, balancing their massive film legacies with deeply personal creative pursuits in painting, music, and philanthropy. Richard Gere and George Clooney, now in their mid to late 60s and 70s, have become the elder statesmen of Hollywood, focusing more on high-profile advocacy and family life than the relentless pace of stardom. Their careers have taken on a quieter, more purposeful shape. From the intense dedication of Christian Bale and the humanitarian influence of Matt Damon to the business ventures of Ben Affleck and Mark Wahlberg, these men have proven that being a leading man was just the beginning. They have grown into leaders, creators, and advocates, proving that the real power of their charisma was always about the depth of the man behind the image. The journey through the decades brings us to a group of men who redefined the very idea of what a leading man could be by merging intellectual depth with a smouldering, unconventional magnetism. In the late 90s, Edward Norton emerged as a force of nature, possessing an intelligent and sharply handsome intensity that felt both modern and dangerously unpredictable. Unlike the traditional action stars who relied on physical dominance, Norton captured the screen through his lean features, a restless mind, and a sense of internal conflict that made him impossible to look away from. His role in Fight Club became a cultural landmark, where his smouldering restraint and lean, wiry strength provided one of cinema's most magnetic portrayals of the modern man. Now 56, he continues to navigate the industry on his own terms. His career in 2026 is a masterclass in balance as he divides his time between selective, high-impact acting and his extensive environmental work. He has become a leading voice in sustainable development and entrepreneurship, proving that the restless energy he once brought to his characters has matured into a sophisticated advocacy for the planet. Whether he is narrating a groundbreaking documentary or receiving honors for his career achievements, Norton represents a kind of stardom that values substance and curiosity far above the fleeting rewards of the spotlight. This sense of creative restlessness finds its perfect poetic counterpart in the career of Ethan Hawke. For a generation of filmgoers, Hawke was the ultimate symbol of dreamy, romantic handsomeness. In the landmark film Before Sunrise, his expressive eyes and youthful sensitivity made him the face of a poetic, searching masculinity. He was the man who chose conversation and connection over traditional heroism, and in doing so, he became a hero of a different kind. At 55, Hawke has remarkably never slowed down, becoming one of the most prolific and thoughtful artists of his time. He continues to act constantly, but his life is now equally defined by his work as a writer and director. He has become a public philosopher of sorts, reflecting openly on the intersection of art, aging, and the creative spirit. His recent performance in Blue Moon has been hailed as a career peak, showing a man who has embraced the lines on his face and the wisdom in his voice to create something deeply moving. Hawke's later years are a beautiful illustration of how a heartthrob can evolve into a sage, moving from the romantic dreams of youth into a mature, grounded creative maturity that remains as compelling as ever. The transition from a youthful ideal to a seasoned veteran is perhaps most striking in the story of Jude Law. When he first arrived on the global stage, he possessed a sculpted, almost classical handsomeness that felt otherworldly. In The Talented Mr. Ripley, his golden charm and effortless confidence made him an international sensation, the very definition of a golden boy of cinema. Yet, Law has spent the decades since intentionally moving away from the simple label of a beautiful man. At 53, he continues to lead major projects with a cool elegance, but he has centered much of his life on the quiet, private joys of fatherhood and personal growth. He has embraced the transition into more complex, character-driven roles with a grace that few can match, showing that the real allure of his presence was never just about the perfection of his features, but the soulful maturity he was capable of bringing to the screen. He stands today as a man who has successfully navigated the pressures of intense early fame to find a grounded, private peace that is far more lasting than the beauty that first made him famous, looking back across this entire landscape. From the 1970s to this present moment in 2026, we see a remarkable transformation. We have seen the polished heroism of Billy Campbell and the intellectual quirkiness of Peter MacNicol. We have revisited the trustworthy warmth of Scott Bakula and the aristocratic wit of Kevin Kline. We have followed the storybook charm of Carrie Elways and the cool sophistication of Rupert Everett. We have seen how the sensitive vulnerability of Andrew McCarthy and the bright smile of John Stamos have matured into lives of service, family, and diverse creative pursuits. From the warrior-like grace of Adrian Paul to the underdog spirit of Ralph Macchio, these men were the anchors of our entertainment world. They were the faces on our walls and the heroes of our most cherished stories. We have explored the brooding intensity of Emilio Estevez and the resilient edge of Christian Slater. We have admired the ancient, rugged nobility of Viggo Mortensen and the enduring everyman charm of Anthony Michael Hall. We have celebrated the legends who preceded them, like Cliff Richard and Fabian Forte, and the mysterious, otherworldly gazes of Christopher Lambert and Kiefer Sutherland. We have seen the playful intelligence of Matthew Broderick and the restrained, British elegance of Colin Firth. We have looked at the icons of style like Philip Michael Thomas and the icons of power like Dolph Lundgren. We have witnessed the evolution of the action star through Jason Statham and Vin Diesel, and the remarkable resurgence of actors like Brendan Fraser and the enduring passion of Antonio Banderas. As we conclude this journey, we are reminded of the haunting, rebellious spirits of Johnny Depp and Keanu Reeves, and the sophisticated, statesman-like presence of Richard Gere and George Clooney. We have seen how actors like Noah Weil, Russell Crowe, and Matt Dillon have grown from youthful rebels into pillars of creative authority. We have admired the commanding masculinity of Denzel Washington and the soulful charm of Ewan McGregor. We have watched Christian Bale, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Mark Wahlberg transform their early fame into massive engines of industry and humanitarian change. Time may have changed their faces, but it never erased the charm, style, and screen power that made them unforgettable. These men were more than just handsome stars. They were symbols of an era, shaping what charisma and masculinity look like for generations. They taught us about strength, about vulnerability, and about the many ways a man can find his place in the world. As we look at them now, in 2026, we see a group of veterans who have lived through the fire of fame and come out the other side with their integrity and their talent intact. Which one was your ultimate heartthrob? Was it the pretty boy with the tousled hair or the rugged rebel with the weathered charm? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep celebrating these timeless legends with us here at Golden Flame Stars. The latest developments in May 2026 confirm that Hollywood's most iconic leading men are not just resting on their laurels, they are leading a massive industry resurgence. From official franchise revivals to high-stakes thrillers, the then and now narrative has shifted into a new gear of active dominance. 2026, Global News headlines Keanu Reeves reclaims the throne. Following the official May 2026 announcement at CinemaCon, Keanu Charles Reeves has signed on for John Wick 5. Simultaneously, his new thriller Outcome, co-starring Cameron Diaz, is generating massive buzz with its recently released 4K trailer, proving his status as the ultimate 2020s action statesman. Plus One Johnny Depp's Hollywood restoration Lionsgate has unveiled the first look at Day Drinker, marking the major return of John Christopher Depp II. Currently filming in Spain alongside Penélope Cruz, Depp portrays a mysterious guest in a high-stakes criminal web, signaling his full transition back